Hi guys, welcome to this week's cryptocurrency market analysis where we preview some of the coins and look at what I think they are going to do in the course of the week. It has been a bullish cryptocurrency beginning with BTC, as you can see from the chart. BTC made some impressive moves in the last couple of days. After the dump that happened here on the 20th of January, I think that dump started on the 20th. Then BTC started to kind of recover, but doing consolidation, even though it was doing some upward moves. But as you can see, the candles were tiny and small, but on the 4th it really made a statement that the market is about to recover from that dump. In fact, it has recovered from that dump, and BTC push and close above not just 40,000 but 41,000. And as at yesterday, BTC closed it above 42,000. So let's start by taking a look at the weekly chart. Now it is very impressive what you are seeing. This candle you are seeing here is a close of last week. The red one is the beginning of this new week we are looking at, or we're starting today. But this one is a close of last week. And when you observe what is happening here, okay, when you observe what is happening, okay, if I exclude today's candle that is forming here, okay, you see a very strong reversal pattern there, and that pattern you are seeing there is a morning star pattern. It's a reversal pattern. Okay, those candles there is showing you that the market is really about to make a reversal and push it way up to recover some of the lost grounds that the bulls have lost to the bears. And when you look at our stochastic RSI, we are really in the oversold region, okay, and you can see the white line crossing over the red one, which is another indication of the markets going bullish. Now going back to, so what we've seen there is that the weekly chart is showing sign of upward movement. Now going back to the daily time frame, so that we can begin to, let's go to lower time frame so that we can begin to really have some picture of what is going to happen. Now if you look at that weekly time frame, you are seeing something that looks like double bottom here, okay, and we are seeing also that normally this resistance that we just broke, okay, the resistance that we just broke now, it is normal that it will come back to retest. So we have to keep our eye on that resistance that has now been broken. So we are looking at it coming back to retest that resistance, and if it comes back to retest there, and if we are able to hold, then that should be around 40,600. So it will come down to retest. So coming down to retest, if we are able to hold that, then that resistance will now become support. So I'm seeing something of this nature. Definitely it may push up a little bit, or it may come down from here, but I'm seeing something of this nature. It will come down to retest that point, go up again, then come down, then a kind of gradual movement. And what that is going to do for us somehow is that if I clean this, what that is going to do for us is that it's going to give us something of this nature. Okay, reverse head and shoulder. It's going to give us reverse head and shoulder, but that is only going to happen if the retest of this 40,600, 40,500 zone we are able to hold. So if the bulls are able to hold this zone, we don't give it back to the bears, that will happen. But then if the retest comes back and the support is not strong enough, you can see it break back down, and maybe we find ourselves in the region of around 39,000 or thereabout. Maybe we find ourselves back to this region, okay, 38, 39,000, which is another support. Okay, so if this doesn't hold, then we will find ourselves back in the region of 39,000 or thereabout. Okay, so those are the two places I'm looking at, between this 40,000 and 39,000. If 40 doesn't hold, then it will come back down to 39,000. Okay, and we hope that if 40 doesn't hold, then 39 should hold. Okay, so but then if 40 holds, then we are looking at getting back up to the region of 47,000, 48,000 in the next couple of days or weeks. So I think that is how I look at. Let me see whether there's something different we can get from the 4 hours chart. You see so much consolidation around this point. Okay, so it's trying to take a decision about the consolidation, so it may, and you see so much same thing happening in this zone. Okay, so it may try to hover over this zone then before taking the decision to know how to come back to retest that. But then, if you are in the market trading this, you have to be a little cautious, because as we can see, the bears are not smiling. Okay, the bears are not resting. They will try to push the market back down. But I think with the strengths we are seeing from the bulls so far in the last few days, I think we have more upturn than getting back down. Okay, so that is that for BTC. Now the next one I have here on my watch list is sand. Okay, I think before I look at sand, let's first of all look at mana. Mana did something massive over the weekend. In fact, I think in the last couple of days, mana has been eating it. But let's look at the weekly chart first. You see how mana recovered from the dump that it had. Similar thing to what BTC is doing is what mana is doing also. Okay, the first thing I want you to observe is the same pattern that we see in BTC, which is the morning star. Is a reversal pattern too, like I mentioned earlier in the BTC chart. Okay, and you can also see that the weekly chart in our mana here, the RSI, sorry, the stochastic RSI is already in the overbought or oversold region. Okay, now you look at it, the last time it got to this region, okay, it got to this oversold region. I think it was here. Here did not really actually go there around this point, and I think mana was around 40 cents to 50 cents. Okay, so if you look at what it did from that point, mana made something in the region of 600 to 700%, almost 700% movement, okay, that it did. So we are back there in the over sold territory, and it just crosses, the white line crosses above the red too, which is another bullish sign from the weekly perspective. Now going back to the daily chart so that we can have a view of what is happening. Now if you look at that daily chart, you see that we have kind of a resistance here. We have some resistance. What I'm seeing mana doing is a kind of a ladder movement. It breaks a resistance, come back and retest, is now at the point of resistance again. Okay, so I think it will break it. Okay, there are two things I'm looking at here. Number one is for it to break, come back and retest before going. That is condition one I'm thinking. Condition two I'm thinking is that it will come down here, retest, come here, retest, come back up, retest. So at that point it's moving a kind of a ladder, it's climbing a ladder. Okay, now what I'm thinking, why I took the first case is because of how big this candle is. You know, when one thing about charts like this or market movement like this is that now if you look at this point, the candles were small, but as it was approaching this resistance, okay, you see how the candle began to increase in size and it broke through, then come back. The same thing is applicable. The candle is small, but as it is approaching the resistance, the candle is getting larger. So because of how big the candle is, I'm having that was why I brought this first instance, that it may break then come back and retest. So two scenarios that we are looking at. Either it will come back from here to retest, because if you look at here, this was a resistance that resisted it here, come back, broke through, then it will come back, or at this point it can break through and come back to retest here. So that is how I'm looking at mana. So if you are trading these, I think you have to take those two into consideration. But looking at the daily time frame, you see that we are already in the overbought region. In fact, we are very much overbought. So which is another reason why I think this second instances may play out. But then we have to look at the two instances and really know what to do, and you decide is your trade. At this point, it is important for me to remind us that everything that we do on this channel is just for educational purposes. It is not a financial advice. So if you are watching this video and you decide to go and take a decision to trade, you should know that it is your independent decision that you've taken. We are not giving you any financial advice. We are not financial advisors. Okay? So that said, you keep your eye on mana too. So I'll go back to sand that I think I left earlier. Let's go back to sand. First and foremost, we look at the weekly chart. What is it saying? You see, is something similar. So this is the beauty of cryptocurrency. One of the things that make me like cryptocurrency is that the charts most times points to the same thing. Okay, they come into confluence, into agreement. So you see a beautiful morning star formation again, and you see the RSI oversold also, which is a nice indicator to us that we may really push up. So it's the same thing looking at it in the daily time frame. So it's the same thing. It goes, come back, retest, goes, maybe come back, retest, then go, come back, then before finally going. Okay, but then we have to be cautious also, because automatically even this chart, this candle of yesterday, I think it has broken this and moved up. Okay, this is today's candle, 7th. This is today's candle. Okay, so it also has a possibility of not coming back down to retest. It all depends on how the market is, but you see we are coming back from a huge dump, and there are people that bought it at this point. Maybe people bought it at 3.4, people bought it at 3.0. So to some extent we expect that people will be selling at this zone. We have people that will be selling at these zones like this because they are key zones. So these people may push the market back down. Okay, but then looking at the RSI too, it's oversold. Sorry, it's overbought too on the daily. So having a slight pullback, it's normal. You see this candle has made 1 2 3 4 green candles in the last 4 days. So we may have, you see this place that it moved, it made 1 2 3 about 6 or 5 green candles, then made a slight pullback. So I'm expecting something similar, maybe at this point may push up a little bit, then we have a pullback, but definitely you should expect a pullback from here. Maybe it will take us back down to 4 point something before pushing the market back down. Okay, so actually I wouldn't buy it here for now. I would like to wait and see what the market is going to do, and the candles will be printed for us to see and to know and to take decisions on that. Okay, so if you are trading that also, you have to pay attention to the psychology in the market. All right, so I think we move over to the next one, which is our wave. Awave has really struggled in the last couple of weeks. It's one coin that I have so much confidence in, but then it had huge hit. Okay, you see it moved to about $90, but now it's back to $37. I can't believe that our wave is here. And you see other markets are trying to push their way, but our wave is still struggling. Okay, so weekly chart, it's building slowly, but then what we are seeing here is inside bar, which, and you see this huge wicks of the candles, which is also showing us that okay, maybe reversal is about to happen. But then you know how, if you look at here, if you look at this point here, anytime how we want to recover, it would take time to do that slowly. So I'm seeing a repeat of what is happening here around this point, maybe slowly, but then when it finally get momentum, you see it pushing back up. Okay, now let's see what the daily is talking. Daily time frame. Okay, the first thing we need to understand is that it broke this particular downtrend. Okay, it broke it, come back to do a kind of a retest on it, and it's back up. So I'm thinking it may come down, or it may come down to maybe something on the region of may come back down to this is already shy, is already there. It's already at that 35. So but it may come down below that 35 a little bit, but let's just hope that that particular resistance that has now become support will be able to hold it. But I see it ranging between these 35 and maybe 42. Okay, so don't be surprised we see our wave in this range maybe for some time before it now finally decide. Now that what that would do is to bring it to this other trend line. You see there's this other trend line, okay, that dates back to November 2021. So I'm seeing it moving within this range to take it back to this trend line, where it will now finally take a decision whether to break it out, and at that point we know whether we reverse the way it brought it back at this point, or it will finally break it out. I want to put an eye on. I think for long-term hold, people that are investing long-term wise is not bad. It's a nice look at. See, this point is a nice point for you to buy. So for me, long-term hold, it's nice time to buy. But even short-term wise, I think if you buy at this point and something about 24%, not bad, not bad. So if it can push maybe in the next couple of days back there, it's not bad also. Okay, but then if it comes back down here and this 35 36 support is not able to hold, then you can see it come back down to maybe something of this nature, whereby you will have this complete double bottom here, one here and one here. So we also have to be careful. It may want to print a double bottom before finally moving up. So those are the way I am seeing this. Okay, now let's move forward. let's move forward to Axie. Axie really surprised me in the last couple of days what it has done. You know, Axie really got a hit, and Axie. But then you see, okay, before I look at the daily, let's look at what is happening in the weekly time frame. So you see that reversal. See that reversal. See the way it recovers. See how it printed a beautiful bullish engulfing candle at this point. You see, anytime it gets to this point, look at it here. At this point, it printed this beautiful pin bar or kangaroo tail, whatever you like to call it. It comes back down to that zone again. So those are beautiful buy zones. And right now on the weekly, is about to break out of this trend line, this downward trend. Okay, so if it breaks out of that downward trend, that will be nice for the market. I hope it doesn't get back down to that trend again. Okay, so looking at Axie, I think we are good there for what it did in the last 1 week to recover. Now I'm going back to the daily time frame. Okay, going back to the daily, when I look at Axie, I thought it will come back to retest this consolidation, because the first thing you need to understand is that it did, if you were following this trade, it did double bottom here, here, and here. So it did double bottom there. Okay, and I was surprised because I thought it would really come back down. Okay, let me check 4 hours whether it really come down, because when I look at Axie, I thought, okay, it came back down to retest. So the 4 hours came back down to retest that consolidation that it broke out. Okay, so in my thinking, I'm thinking that the daily time frame will also come back to retest. You see, the daily has not come back, so it has gotten to this resistance, sorry, to this trend line. So there are two things that will happen, because that trend line also is a zone, a resistance zone too, even though it's not a major resistance. But a lot of things, you look at this point here, a lot of things are happening there. So to some extent, I think it may come back down to retest that zone before finally breaking out. Maybe retest this, then finally find it way back up. But you see the way Axie normally move, if it repeats what it did here, okay, if it repeats what it did here, it may not respect all these things, because the way Axie moves is that it doesn't care about whether there's resistance or not, the way it normally moved when it was bullish that time that it really came into limelight. So but then we also have to pay attention to some of these things. I'm thinking it may come back down. I may be wrong. It may break this minor support, and if it breaks this support, so at that point you see it come here, maybe come back down before going up, which would give us something like beautiful head and shoulder formation pattern there. So I think those are the two, looking at Axie, those are the two main ways I think it can play out. So whatever you think can play out, it's your trade. So you also have to look at it and know what to do with it. Okay, so I think my time is going fast. Let me see how I can rush over the few coins I have here. Now this is so really had a huge hit in the market these few days, and I think it's trying to recover too, like every other trade is trying to recover. So I see, so maybe gradually building its way up to 130, which we have a major resistance at that point. Okay, so from that 130 resistance may bring it back down, or it may break it. Okay, but then there's a major resistance at this point, and it's already in the overbought region. Yeah, so there may be a slight pullback anyway to $100 before pushing it back up to that 130. But whatever it is, I think the because at this point, if I bring down this trend, that will coincide with that dollars. So a lot will happen at this point. Okay, so at this point will be a decision point for it. So if it breaks that up, maybe come back to retest before pushing back up. But then if this resistance now push it back down, then we may expect it to come back and maybe attempt to do a double bottom. Okay, depending on how healthy the market is, because all these things we are looking at, we know how a lot of things are happening in the market, the feds, the tapering and all those things that are happening in the market. And I think by early March the Fed will have their meeting again, which they would decide on the I think, is it the inflation numbers or what they call it. So all those things may come in and affect the direction of the market. But I think if the market is allowed to run, it's healthy the way it is, then we may be fine. Okay, let's move over to this is a FTM Fantom. Fantom, I'm seeing something of this nature with Fantom. See, because when you look at Fantom, okay, what is remaining for it is to complete this leg, okay, to give us head and shoulder. Okay, but then you need to understand this trend line. See this trend line? That trend line has been holding since I think August last year. Okay, so it may have a little pullback to come and test that trend line. Okay, but whatever happens, there's a lot of consolidation happening here, as you can see on the daily time frame. So eyes is on that trend line. Anything that happens that Fantom breaks this trend line down, it may take it back down to 1.4 axis again. But as far as it's still within the range of this trend line, it may come back down to maybe 1.8 something. But then I'm looking at it making this double or reverse head and shoulder formation, that so completing the last arm of that formation. So Fantom also, it looks good. Okay, FTT. Okay, FTT has broken out of this downward trend that it had. You see the same thing with the other one that we just look at it touches this point, triple head, okay, 1 2 3 before finally breaking. And I think it comes back to retest the trend line. So it may come back down to retest this other resistance that has become support before finally coming back up here. Okay, so this zone is a zone I'm thinking it will come back down to retest. Okay, then at that point, if it comes back down there and we look at it, it's a nice point to enter a trade, and you target about 15 to 20% there. Okay, so I think that is okay, that is good. But then this resistance too, whatever you are doing, you have to keep your eye there, because that resistance there is a strong one. So if you enter your trade around this point, then you should be able to either take profit or you get out at this point and wait for it to see what it's actually going to do. Then I think the last one I'm going to look at is CHR Chromium. So you see, Chromium had a nice consolidation on the daily time frame. See, it consolidated in this range. Let me try to zoom it more. So it consolidated in this range, and you see how beautiful the candle move, that daily candle of foot. It breaks out of that consolidation, comes back to retest before finally moving up there. So I think at this point, I don't know whether I want to come back down, because this is daily time frame. Whether I want to come back and retest again is possible. It may come back down and retest again, or it may keep on moving. So anybody that was following this trade and maybe at this consolidation you were able to enter, it's a nice trade for you to hold. And I think where it is now, Chromium has, because it's not much, I don't see much resistance apart from maybe a small one we had here. We had a small one at 70%. So if it's able to break through the small resistance at 70%, then the next one is at 94%. So where it is now, it has a potential to make about 50%. And if it comes back to this point, it has a potential of about 60%. So Chromium is one that I'm putting my eye on, okay, because the RSI is in the overbought region, so it has a potential of maybe kind of small retracement to something in the region of maybe $50 to $60 before finally pushing up. So those are there are other ones, other coins that time will not permit us, because I don't want this to be very long. Subsequently, I think I will limit it to maybe about 5 coins, but there are other coins too that are making massive movements that you can equally have a look at. The charts looks so bullish. It looks so healthy for crypto, and I hope that nothing will happen fundamentally that will bring us back down again. You know, all the hard work that the bulls have done to push the market this far, it wouldn't be nice for us to get back down again. So I hope to be making these videos every week, so that we look at them and see how what we are expecting, preview the market, see what we are expecting, how we are looking at it, how we think that the market is going to move. And I have to mention here that, you know, the financial market, and especially the crypto market, is so unpredictable. So I just try my best to to bring my point of view, the way I see the market. Okay, so it may comes out to be the way I just preview it, and it may not be the way it is. So whatever it is my own opinion, the market. And like I said in the beginning, it is not a financial advice. It is just my way of presenting my view on how I look at the market. So if you go ahead and use it in your trading, you are taking an independent trade decision that we are not connected with. If you like the contents of the video, do well to like it, click the like button, subscribe to the channel. You can also share it with your friends so that they can watch the video and also get the education that we are trying to bring here. So that is that for this week. I hope to see you next week. Peace out.